What started as a childhood idea from the legendary developer of the Longest Journey franchise, Ragnar Turnquist, became an interesting and innovative MMO set in the Lovecraftian and Indiana Jones-inspired modern world filled with those of the occult, wickedness, and witchcraft. The Secret World was the brainchild of Ragnar, and Funcom launched the game back in 2012. Unlike most MMORPGs at the time, the Secret World focused on story content and an unbelievable atmosphere to captivate their audience. Unfortunately, however, after failing as a sub-based game, going buy-to-play, and then having a free-to-play reboot in Secret World Legends, the population of the game has been steadily downtrending, and with no new content on the horizon, the future for the Secret World is looking as grimdark as the game's atmosphere. Why did the Secret World ultimately fail? Why is the game inching ever so closer to its seemingly inevitable death? Whether you rep the ruthless pious Templars, or the Machiavellian pragmatist, the Illuminati, or maybe the anarchist with a plan, the Dragon, I hope you join me on this journey to uncovering the mysteries behind why the Secret World failed and what set it apart from other MMOs on the market. Like a true detective, near the end of the video I will share my notes with you guys concerning the clues and reasons for the Secret World's inevitable death. I think it's easy to see which faction I was aligned with. Funcom, coming off the mixed success of Age of Conan, but overwhelmingly good sales, was positioning to add another unique MMORPG to their growing stable. Utilizing the Age of Conan engine and a team of 35 employees, including Ragnar, the creator behind the Longest Journey franchise and quite well-known Nordic game developer. Funcom, being a self-funded company, didn't exactly have plentiful resources, and since their previous title Age of Conan wasn't doing as well as they wanted post-launch, doing the Secret World was a risk. But a risk that Ragnar had essentially believed in since he was a child, as he said in an interview with Rock Paper Shotgun. The concept of the Secret World, according to Ragnar, existed for 12 to 13 years. Ragnar wanted to take the fantasy genre into the real world, the modern times, and that's what the Secret World would aim to do with aspirations from Lovecraft and Indiana Jones. It was first announced by Funcom back in 2007, and was initially intending on being in the 1920s. Ultimately, the team decided against that in favor of more recognizable modern times, not to mention modern fantasy is rather unique. In a 2009 interview, it was revealed that the Secret World would feature 3 different factions, to which personality tests would be taken to determine the player's faction. This was available on their website and a created Facebook campaign as well. This was a brilliant way to introduce the 3 very unique factions in Secret World, while already having your fanbase deeply entrenched into their chosen faction. Tribalism does well in MMOs. The factions are the London-based Templars, pious zealots, who would burn an entire village to get their hands on one demon. The New York City-based Illuminati, Machiavellian pragmatists who believe that it's a tough world where only the strongest will survive. And then the Soul-based Dragon, who take a neutral stance between the other two and are all about deceiving, orchestrating chaos, and waiting patiently for its time. Throughout the story, the 3 factions will interact with each other over the same missions, offering different perspectives and ultimately more replayability. Each faction is distinctive enough to be different from each other and have storied pasts dating back dozens of years.
We have a complicated history.
Whether you choose the anarchistic Dragon, the pious Templars, or the Machiavellian Illuminati, you would get a unique enough starting experience, not to mention the ability to play the other factions and starter zones as well. We said we're not going to make a WoW clone. The Secret World wouldn't have classes and instead would be skill-based. Ragnar stressed that they wanted to avoid level grinding to allow new players to join easily. The game would focus on story content with an overarching linear plot as well as side quests. The game could be played solo, which is what Ragnar as a developer was used to. With the Secret World, they really lucked out getting him as a lead designer. He created The Longest Journey and Dreamfall Longest Journey, dystopian worlds with fantasy elements, and so he had a history with doing fantasy in interesting ways already. But these games are also incredibly well rated, and from my personal opinion, masterpieces. By focusing on story content, Funcom had to really drive home the idea that everything was interconnected. That's why the 3 factions all have involvement in different missions and story arcs. Throughout the story, you take them into consideration. But also with the factions, you could increase your standing and even be put on a leaderboard to show off the best of each faction.
Make me look bad, I'll mount your head on my wall as an object lesson to the next fuck-up.
The Secret World was a world of dark mysteries, and instead of relying on jump scares, it relied on atmosphere. Some scenes and monsters are downright creepy.
Remember not to think about this guy when you go to sleep tonight. You'll be glad you didn't.
And the plot at times can catch you totally by surprise and weird you out. But it makes for compelling storytelling, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat for horror hopefuls. Exploration is the primary way you go about finding quests and solving quests. Oh right, yeah, quests. These are incredibly innovative in the Secret World, and one of its crowning features. Your main quests are broken into 3 basic types: action, investigation, and sabotage. You'll find plenty of side missions littered around the map, taking the form of fetch quests where you have to examine your surroundings and explore various places, hunting for the objective. It's the investigation missions that frequently provide the most fun. They're puzzles, often realized as mini alternate reality games that require you to step out of the game world and use the internet to find clues to your next goal. TSW has quite possibly some of the best quests in MMORPG history.
Bingo, bingo, bingo!
I put it above SWTOR in the sense that it made you actually have to go out in the world and explore to progress a quest or a storyline, versus just being carted or herded to the next NPC to NPC and chatting endlessly. A 20% reduction in staff was announced by Funcom, resulting in a significant delay for the release of the Secret World. Already so early on in the development, they had some bad circumstances. By February 2012, the Secret World announced its release date, coming July of 2012. Funcom also announced that over 750,000 users registered for the MMO's closed beta, which was significantly higher than their previous MMORPG, Age of Conan. The open beta came in May and June 2012 leading up to launch. One outlet was already celebrating the game's success, calling it a resounding success.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The Secret World launched for select pre-order players who were gifted 4 extra days of early access on June 29th, leading up to the global and Steam launch on July 3rd, 2012. TSW scored a 74 out of 100 on aggregate review site Metacritic, and then an 8.3 user score based on 1,300 player reviews. Across the board from OG video game media sites like IGN, Eurogamer, and GameSpy, all 3 echoed that the game, while strong in its obvious ways, such as storytelling and the like, it's obviously weak in other cases, such as its combat, performance issues, and the fact that in 2012 it had a subscription model, which was already starting to die as a business model. Some suggested that perhaps these glaring combat issues and the clunkiness with it, as well as the overwhelming amount of performance issues, might be enough of an issue to overshadow the game's strengths. That's a good point. My personal story with the Secret World came in 2011, when I was at a PAX Prime for SWTOR. Guild Wars 2 was also there, and so was the Secret World. I was in an exhibit hall early and got the chance to try out some of the MMOs on the floor. When I went to try TSW, the computer running the game blue screen and then had to be rebooted. I definitely had a weird feeling in my stomach at that point. The computer reboots eventually and they fire up the game. I don't know why I had to use this specific computer either, by the way. But upon touching the controls in the game, I thought to myself, well, this certainly feels clunkier than Guild Wars 2, who at the time was basically down the hallway. But most embarrassingly, I thought, this game feels worse than the Hero Engine in SWTOR. I couldn't shake that the game then, which was a little under a year before launch, felt like I was playing Gears of War in an MMO setting, complete with bus-sized models and tank-feeling movement. The Secret World by August 2012 sold 200,000 copies overall. As the GameSpot article explained, the firm acknowledged that reviews for the Secret World were mixed, noting that the poor critiques impacted sales of the game significantly. Funcom wasn't seeing those 200,000 sales as very impressive, nor did it match their original projections from beta, or anything close to it. Things got even worse for the already troubled MMO in the Secret World when within a few months, Ragnar, who was the lead designer on the project, leaves Funcom to form his own studio, Red Thread Games, and work on a sequel Dreamfall game titled Dreamfall Chapters. A fantastic game, by the way. The truth is, with creatives, or the really great ones at least, they are sort of ushered around by suits and pointed at the next shiny object or dollar signs in the eyes of the suits. Ragnar is a game designer who has touched many quality projects, but he has never really been one to stick completely to one genre, and it was unlikely that the Secret World would have had him working there for quite some time, unless they were doing pretty well. Then again, it's fair to speculate that perhaps Funcom was pivoting him off the project to make money elsewhere, because even if Ragnar went to form his own company, it's still published by Funcom ultimately. Losing a designer, or scratch that, the designer behind the project was a serious blow to the narrative team, and just the team in general at the Secret World. TSW's submodel wasn't helping matters either. When a sub-based MMORPG doesn't do well, it causes more and more players to bleed until eventually, even if they sold 200,000 copies, if only 10% of those keep paying the monthly fee, then the game is going to suffer monetarily, and when it does, it's going to suffer content-wise as well. It didn't seem like free-to-play was on the table, as Funcom proudly exclaimed that they didn't think that the submodel was going to be extinct like the dinosaurs yet. No, it's not going to go free-to-play anytime soon, stated Funcom's communications director, Erling Ellingsen. There's currently no plans for making it free-to-play, but the levels of success they had reached were clearly not good enough for their expectations. In fact, it caught both Ragnar and lead content designer Joel Bylos by surprise. To address this issue in January of 2013, Funcom transitioned the Secret World to a buy-to-play title with reported success. Activity levels rose 400%, and another 70,000 copies of the game were sold. It's difficult to quantify what these activity levels actually mean, but clearly transitioning to a more accessible business model was successful, even if just somewhat for the Secret World. With the announcement of the business model switch came a mostly expected layoff. However, these weren't just temporary job layoffs. Funcom was having to restructure their company, resulting in office closures. The changes might have certainly helped the game, but would they be significant enough to keep the game alive for years to come? The story was a clear focus in the Secret World, and is a crowning feature of the dark and gritty MMORPG. It's also coincidentally one of the most problematic features in the game. Story content requires writers, scripters, voice actors,
And if you're real good, Daddy'll come back from the dead to take you out for ice cream.
and even music work sometimes. It's expensive to make tailor-made story content, period, let alone in a massive multiplayer online game. The biggest danger with the Secret World is without the steady stream of income or revenue, and then some, the main form of content in the game, the story, was going to be starved throughout the remaining life cycle of the game. TSW couldn't just do good enough in order to fully realize their game design aspects and focus on the narrative. It was going to take more than just surviving to afford that sort of content. The Secret World had its first major content update in June of 2014, with the launch of Issue 9 and subsequent updates 10 and 11, which introduced a new zone, Tokyo, that continued the game's main story quest. The Secret World, unfortunately, save a rather steady form of content updates in a small fashion, didn't have an expansion or major content release following the Tokyo content update for 3 more years. The steady content trickle might have been enough to keep the loyal fans engaged, but by referencing the Steam population numbers for concurrent players for the Secret World, it's easy to see that after the launch, the game struggled to keep over 2,000 concurrent players over the 3-year period. By the beginning of 2017, concurrent population according to Steam had dropped as low as 164 players. Funcom was going to need a defibrillator to resuscitate their dying game. Drastic changes were needed to keep the Secret World afloat. And when drastic changes are needed, sometimes the end result isn't quite what you bargained for.
Your world is bleeding.
You can just about smell the brimstone.
News hit the web that Funcom would be relaunching the Secret World with a slew of changes and a new business model, free-to-play. Funcom, instead of addressing combat and performance issues over time, elected instead to attempt to fix all of these issues, as well as streamlining content for a new audience. The Secret World became Secret World Legends in July of 2017, and it shed its buy-to-play model and became a free-to-play game. Secret World's Legends at first glance was looked at like a reboot of sorts for the Secret World, and it was enough to drum up hype for the relaunch in the summer of 2017. Steam charts show a clear jump in population here, but then, shortly after, the concurrent population drops right back down. It seemed despite the big new reboot of sorts, Secret World Legends was not looking to be as successful as originally hoped. Many original fans of the Secret World saw it as a slap in the face when the Secret World became Secret World Legends. It wasn't just an engine update or combat overhaul of sorts that came with the game. What also came with the game, or rather came without, was a number of features or pieces of content in the Secret World that were cut or greatly altered for the Secret World Legends.
Every event, no matter how small, has consequences.
SWL introduced classes which changed the very fabric of the game that was first announced and advertised to be a classless MMO. Funcom also simplified a number of quests for the first starter areas in the Secret World Legends, which not only changed the way that the story played, but it also removed certain storylines and quests from the game. Funcom even removed crafting, simply making everything right-clickable to assemble for missions. But wait.
There's more!
Yes, I'm actually doing the salesman pitch when Funcom is actually taking away content from their game because, well, Funcom, I guess. Anytime you take content away from a game, it nearly always results in a great outrage from the fanbase. In the case of Secret Worlds Legends, they didn't just cut a number of quests, they completely reduced complexity in certain respects across the board for the game. And since at that point the loyal TSW original fanbase was the only crowd left playing the game, it explains why Secret World Legends tanked harder and faster than the Secret World did when it launched. What was Funcom thinking to accomplish with such unwanted, sweeping changes? You think they would be on eggshells concerning their very patient audience, who has put up with their buggy and frankly content-starved MMO for a number of years now. Reading the Steam reviews for Secret World Legends, it's quite clear to see not only were fans pissed about the changes, they were downright insulted by it. Observe this gameplay trailer for the Secret World Legends Funcom put out.
In Secret World Legends, we've revamped combat from the ground up. The biggest difference you'll notice between Secret World Legends and the Secret World is that we have a new reticle combat.
They really thought people would be hyped up by slightly revamping combat with the same decade-old looking animations and character models. Some fans even postulated that they could tell very little differences in the supposed new Secret World game. Funcom didn't completely kill the Secret World, it technically still exists. Secret World Legends, however, is the official release at the moment. Good luck finding an original TSW copy, or really just accessing it, period. It's not exactly made abundantly clear on how to do it, and since you can't use Steam because all Steam TSW copies became SWL, it's no wonder that when we tested the population in the original game, it was non-existent. In one fell swoop, Funcom took the defibrillator and attempted to resuscitate the Secret World. It wasn't the miraculous recovery they had hoped for, however, and instead they patched back together with a few band-aids and stitches to be dubbed the Secret World Legends and essentially resold to the audience. Yep, that's right. For people who spent copious amounts of money on the game, they had little to show for it following SWL's free-to-play launch. Who would have known in 2017 we would witness another situation so similar to the NGE in Star Wars Galaxies? For those not familiar, the NGE is the New Gaming Experience. It's an infamous content update in Star Wars Galaxies that drastically changed the game overnight. Coincidentally, it also added classes to an otherwise not class-based game. It's considered to be mostly disliked, especially at first reception, but even it has some redeeming qualities and overall positives about it. Secret World Legends just seems to be like a last-ditch effort to milk some more monetization from an already dying IP. We've reached the part of the video where it's time to finally fully diagnose what went wrong with the Secret World, and why as of April 2019 it has a downward trending population and a double-digit concurrent player number. Using the same engine as Anarchy Online and Age of Conan, and it being known as a notoriously buggy engine of sort of explains itself. Performance was always an issue in the Secret World. The Secret World is an MMO that needs to look impressive, or at least unique artistically. It unfortunately was very graphically weak, including animations which hurt immersion in a narrative-driven MMO. Being a story-driven MMO makes the Secret World a developer-made content-focused MMO. This means that when the money dries up, so does the content. And it did. Losing the lead designer who basically came up with the idea of the Secret World was probably a significant blow to the game. The Secret World becoming Secret World Legends effectively pissed off most of the remaining fanbase of the MMO, dealing a near-death blow in an instant. Besides the story, world, and lore in TSW, the game is severely lacking in many traditional MMO categories, such as guild interactivity and PvP features. It's not the best MMO by design. It was, in fact, able to be played solo. It's undeniable that the Secret World will go down in history as one of the most cohesive worlds and narratives in the MMO genre, period. Its story is so impressive for many fans, it was enough to overshadow the other issues with the game. It, however, must be pointed out that although the game did excel in certain areas, as before mentioned, it had severely lacking MMO features when compared to its competitors, and Funcom's aging tech was simply unable to compete. Still, I have to applaud Funcom for the Secret World, and Ragnar especially. to even attempt what they attempted took enormous risk, especially for a self-funded company. They crafted an incredibly unique MMO that, although it was rough around the edges, stole the hearts of many fans. I found the game rather enjoyable early on, and I think it has some of the best questing I have ever seen in an MMO. Without creators like Ragnar willing to take risks on charting into a genre territory never explored, and focusing on a feature that the MMO genre that was greatly underexplored, we just simply wouldn't have innovation. Without creators like Ragnar and the team behind the Secret World, we won't have developers taking risks that could ultimately amount to beautifully innovative features. That's sort of the conundrum with creativity. In order to do something artistic or something unique, it takes a large amount of risk, inherently. Especially in the scale of the MMO market, which by nature is the largest in risk. The amount of money that it takes to develop, market, and launch an MMO by yourself as a company is staggering. And when publisher relationships rule the MMO market, or in the case of Funcom, a Nordic company self-funded but low on cash, taking a risk could be catastrophically a failure that could result in people being laid off, or worse, a company going under. So you must temper your risk-taking. However, if you become prone to not taking any risk, which means trying anything unique or outside of the box, well, you have the current MMORPG market where every major MMO sort of seems like a copy of each other. Thanks for watching the video, and please stay tuned for a soon-to-launch video announcing the restructuring of the channel, which is all good stuff. Changes coming to the channel, and most importantly, new content. This video is relaunching my Patreon, where I will outline a number of stretch goals that, when reached, will result in new content and other series for the channel. That video should be launching soon, and I want to thank you all for your support, monetary or not. See you later, detectives.